Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bitcoin for Family show, where every guest is your new BFF. That's your Bitcoin friend forever. I'm Scott from Shamray, and it's an honor to have you here once again. Thanks to everybody that's been listening over the past month with our first shows rolling out. Hope everybody's enjoying it and having a fun time. So, on to this show. I'm lucky enough to welcome two awesome Bitcoin moms to the show at the same time, which should be a fun adventure. So, without further ado, let's welcome Justine and Stacie to the show. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Excited.
Awesome. Well, I know it's been a few years, Justine, since we actually met in person back at TAB. I think it was 2020, 21 or 22, one of those years that we're there. And Stacie just got to meet you for the first time in person in Vegas 2 weeks ago. Thanks for coming over, saying hi. And I think you got a bracelet or a keychain, something from Charlotte at the booth.
Yeah. The bracelet's been a hit with my almost 2-year-old.
Hopefully not putting it in the mouth too much. That's always the danger zone with those small ones. Exactly. Fun stuff. Well, did you have fun in Vegas while you were there?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was only there for 48 hours because of couldn't be away from the kids for too long, but I feel like it was a good amount of time.
Yes, we know that, Drew. We flew in on Monday, got back on Friday, and we had to leave our little one back this year. She's 1.5. So having her in the booth, you saw the chaos that it is. That would have been too much. Charlotte is self-sufficient and loves being there, so maybe Zoe will make an appearance again next year. Perfect. Well, then let's kick things off, like we always do on the show, with some fun icebreakers to get to know you guys and your families a little better. So first off, we're recording this on a Monday, and so easy question. What was your favorite family moment from this past weekend? And you guys can go back and forth, whoever wants to answer first.
That's a hard question. We have been dealing with sickness, which maybe is a very relatable thing. So our little guy has had some sort of inflammation, respiratory thing. But that also allowed us to do movie time because it was raining as well. So we got to watch some nice old movies. I think showing him things like, gosh, what movie did we watch this weekend? I think we went back and watched like the old Winnie the Pooh movie. And just, getting to sit around and watch him sort of have these really hilarious moments, giggling at the TV, those sorts of things are always fun. So it was a little less exciting around here over the weekend for us. Very, very chill.
The chill moments can be the best times also. How about you, Stacie?
Yeah, I hope he's feeling better. We had a fun weekend. We actually, there's another Bitcoin family near us, Taj Draja. We spent some time with him and his family, and we went to the playground, and then we got some fro-yo afterwards. And it was just like we're still like in early June, so it's not too hot up in New England, and enjoying the weather before you don't really want to go outside.
Yep, starts getting a little too sticky. Cool. Well, it sounds like a nice relaxing weekend. On our end, our oldest is turning 6 next week. So we had a birthday party yesterday for her. So that was our
fun. Happy birthday.
Exactly. Our chaos for the weekend on top of many other things. So less relaxing on our end, but we all survived and she had a great time.
What was the theme?
Do you guys do like a big party or do you do more small?
So this one, between, she's turning 6, so it's still like that mixture of the parents are there too, so that automatically makes it big when the kids are there. So I think there was around 18 or 20 kids and then about 20 parents as well. She's part of a homeschool. We homeschool. And so she's part of a homeschool group. So she's got friends from that side of things. And then our family is all around here. So just
great.
That alone and cousins. So she has...
So you guys had a big party.
Yes. Cousins and grandparents and aunts and uncles alone are 20 plus. So yeah. We roll deep.
Love that.
So I'll give all the credit to my wife for arranging everything. It was a science themed party. So there's 3 different science stations where kids got to, what they do. They cracked open geology stones to open those up.
Fun.
Dug fake dinosaur eggs to be able to do those. And then there was just a table with baking soda mixture that they can make explode, bubble up
Volcanoes.
And explode. So,
very cool. That's
all at a
such
splash
great
pad.
theme.
So then they got to get clean in the splash pad. On the flip side of things, I guess second icebreaker. So if you had a rough parenting day, what's the one song that might help you get you out of the mood?
Get us out of the mood or the kids out of the mood?
You. Either. I guess you can go either. I was thinking more you. Something that puts a smile on your face or just maybe lets you get that anger out. Who knows? Either or.
I think for me, if I need to like chill, it's walking away and like going outside and listening to the birds. So maybe the birds are my song of choice. But like songs in our house that solve the chaos, oddly enough, is like New Kids on the Block, Hanging Tough. He loved
There you
it
go.
from like a very young age, so we brought that back. So yes, occasionally I'll throw that on if we're in the middle of a tantrum and need some distraction.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah, same here. I don't think I think the level of stress transcends music for me. And I can't. One of my favorite moments is actually when, because I'm home with the kids a lot, and so I take them places, and I'm buckling them into the car. Okay, got one kid in, close the door, screaming subsided on one side, get the other kid in, okay, close the door, screaming ends, and then like the split second of walking behind the trunk and it's silent for just that moment. But for us, my oldest is really into this video game called Astrobot, and if we play the soundtrack for that, which all the songs sound the same, it keeps them quiet and they just run in circles and I can walk away for a second. That's usually the solution.
There you go. That works.
Great.
Yep. And those silent moments between closing the door do also help.
You find your
Especially before-
zen very quickly.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. And how about on the book reading side? What's the last book you guys read to your kids?
I don't want to keep going first, but if you're still
Okay,
thinking, I did just get Goodnight construction site. So that's been a favorite. He's very into big trucks, and anytime he sees any sort of large vehicle, he's very excited. So we've been learning the proper names for the vehicles, and yeah, it's just a cute little board book. Nothing crazy there.
Perfect. Trash day
Nice.
must be exciting at your house then.
Yes, exciting.
I was worried this question was going to be like, what was the last book you read? Because I could
knew that
not
wasn't
tell
gonna
you.
happen. No.
Like, oh no.
No.
We're big library fans, and we actually just checked out a bunch of Elephant and Piggy books by Mo Williams. It's kind of like it's for early readers, but I read them to the kids, and a lot of pages, but they're almost like comic books, and they go by really quickly. And they both sit for it. If as long as I'm the only one in the room, but if there's someone else in the room, then they start to wander. And
Somebody's distracted.
yeah.
Very nice. I haven't heard of those ones. We'll have to check them out.
Yeah, they're great.
Perfect. One more icebreaker for you guys. So this one's kind of fun. If your kids could pick any pet for your family, I guess excluding the chickens and the birds that you already have back there, Justine, real or imaginary, what do you think they'd choose, and what name do you think they might give it? So it could be a dragon, it could be a unicorn, doesn't matter.
So obviously dinosaur,
Okay.
if we had the choice. But hedgehog, we have a big Sonic the Hedgehog fan here, which is funny because my husband used to have a pet hedgehog. And then as for name, I don't know if we'd have a name yet, but I will tell you that last year the snowman was named Babin. So,
Just came out of nowhere?
came out of nowhere.
Okay.
I've
Okay,
also
we have
been called a pond nugget before. Only my son's allowed me to call me that.
That is an interesting one. Our older daughter, from a young age, she started having imaginary friends,
Oh.
and they'd become sisters or relatives, I guess, to her. Not always a sister, depending on their gender, but they had wild names: Fire, Wada. I forget the other ones. They're all over the place. Every once in a while, they make a new appearance, and you're like, you still remember that person? But okay,
Great. They come up with best names. Our
Yes.
guy's still pretty small, so his words are. We joke that he speaks Hennish because it's just a language I understand, and we're still teaching it to James. But he's very into dinosaurs right now, and he also just started making pig noises, and so he very much likes pigs and Charlotte's Web, and like Piggy books, and but instead of saying the animal names anymore, he just makes the sound. So pigs are really in right now in our home.
Is there a chance that a pig can show up with the chicken?
No. Funny enough, James is actually very pro raising pigs, and I'm very anti raising pigs. I feel like this is because I've actually been around pigs in a farm capacity. But that's like where my line is, and we have this discussion a lot of, like, no, I'm sorry. We can do goats, we can do llamas, we can do all, but I'm out on the pigs. They're very cute when they're small though, so I appreciate them, but they grow up to be quite large and stinky.
Like that is the issue with many animals. They're cute when the first little bit, but then as they get bigger, and you don't want them anymore.
Exactly.
Very nice. Okay, last icebreaker. We've all experienced many probably situations related to diapers. So on that end, what is the hardest or most embarrassing place you've had to change a diaper over the years? Anything come to the mind?
I'll just say that like some places aren't equipped for diaper changes. So like if you're at a restaurant, and I remember going in, they had like a single women's bathroom and a single men's, and whoever was in the women's bathroom was just on their phone the whole time. And I had to change a blowout, and I got in there and there wasn't even a changing table. There was just like a table for the toilet paper. So I know some people like can do it on the floor if you cover it well enough, or even on I've seen people on TikTok do it on their laps. So that's inconvenient and unfortunate. But
Yes.
there's another time where when my oldest was about like 2 years old, we'd go to the library and he would just go hide from me under a table and smile and stare at me, and he would emerge with a stinky diaper, and it was hilarious to him, but at the time I had like the younger one with me and we'd have to go cram into the tiny library bathroom. So it's not like an exciting story, but it was just like it happened a lot. And I'm glad it's over.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely done the on the lap thing. Mostly in the car though, like when you got to change and you're on. Yeah, it's not fun, and I'm probably why I wear black a lot as a mom. It's like just hide whatever's
Yep.
there. But I think like the most entertaining one would probably be airport, or like a airplane bathroom where they're
Yeah.
so small. And
Yes.
yes, we've only flown once with him, but trying to change a diaper, and he doesn't like to lay down. Our guy is like he does not want to sit still, and so diaper changes are not fun. I'm actually really, really getting into potty training like now, because I'm just like I don't want to lay you down any more than you want to lay down. So let's just get through this. But yes, airplane bathroom is rough, and you're thinking, how much can people hear out there? How much noise are we actually making? You're thumping into things. I'm 5'9". I don't fit very well. Yeah, so that's probably been the most entertaining diaper change, even though I'm sure there's been some disgusting additional stories that we could come up with. But yeah.
You block it out. Like you purposely don't remember. One thing I'll point out though is not many people think about it, but that tiny airplane bathroom that we all use and we complain about how small it is, there is a changing table in there, believe it or not, and it is the smallest thing in the world. It's the size of like my laptop. So bad.
Yes, it is not easy. One tip that my wife did come up with between child 1 and child 2, because we didn't do it for Charlotte, was when we're on the go, not anymore, but when Zoe was an infant, she started traveling with the pee pads for animals. And then when you're out, like at an like if you're at the airport or someplace in public like that, and you don't want to put the baby on the ground directly, but actually use the pee pad in the diaper bag, put that down first, put the baby down on top of it. So then you're not getting as much.
Then you could just toss it, not have to worry about like
Exactly.
folding up a piece of cloth. That's a good idea.
Exactly. No, I hadn't thought of it before, but she started, I don't know where she even came up with it, but we started traveling with animal pee pads for a while there in our diaper bags as we were going along. But yes, airplanes are not fun. Public bathrooms in general, not a fun place to have to do those, especially with a blowout. Like you said earlier, those are the worst. Cool. Well, that was some fun icebreakers, and I neglected to actually, before I started that, to let the people know a bit more about your family. So I know we're talking to 2 different moms, each parents of 2 of different ages. So before we get into some more questions, why don't you each, maybe Justine first, and then Stacie, talk about what you want to share, the age of your kids, and anything else quickly relevant that the audience to get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, so I have an older daughter. She is in high school, and then we have a young boy who is around a year and a half. So trying to like split my mom brain into those 2 things is really fun sometimes. And also you totally forget. Like some people will be like, oh, you've done this before. And it's like, one, kids are so different. And then also my brain has blocked it all out. Like I don't remember anything. So yes, so that's where we are right now. It makes a lot of fun. Daughter's getting ready for prom. Little guy's like still nursing and figuring out nap time. So our house is always a little chaotic. But a good time for sure.
Perfect. Stacie?
Yeah, I have 2 boys. The oldest is almost 4, and the youngest is almost 2. We all have summer birthdays in our house, which is really fun. I call it Summerfest, except my husband, he's not a summer baby. They get along like decently well, but there are moments when they really just know how to press each other's buttons. But I will say they're just the complete opposite, which is even like physically they look the complete opposite, which is kind of funny that how the same set of genes can turn out 2 different ways.
Yes. No, that is funny. We have somewhat similar situation here with our two. So Charlotte's 6, Zoe's a year and a half or so. Physically, they look pretty much identical to each other, so we don't have that side. The only difference is Charlotte has my eyes, Zoe has Mallory's eyes. But we've essentially copy and pasted everything we've done from one baby to the next. And Charlotte was always the sweetest, calmest, easygoing baby there ever was. Zoe has that dark side to her where she can be the sweetest thing in the world, and then the switch flips, and then you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So
But
we know
everything's
exactly.
extreme. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To our little
Very
guys.
extreme. Especially eating time. If she's a great eater, but the second she is done in that high chair, done eating, sign's all done, and you don't have 5 seconds before she's taking whatever's on the plate, and it's halfway across the room.
Yep.
It's like, girl, you got to give us a few minutes to get over to you and take it off. But yes, we know exactly what you mean. Copy and paste does not work at all. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing a little bit about that with the audience. And we were touching just for this first question. We started touching on it very briefly before we started recording, but there's always a balancing act as a parent. And we were talking about the work balance and the life balance and just parenting in general. And so let's dive into that a little bit more. Justine, I know you haven't gone back full time to work yet, so you're being able to enjoy that time with your little one. Maybe what are some of those things that you look forward to being potentially away a little bit more that you're maybe worried about, or maybe you learned from the first time, even though it was so much longer ago? How do you guys plan on addressing that side of things?
Well, I think for me, it's like trying to find that balance of, when is a good time and when isn't. For me, sort of focusing on the first 3 years, being very, very active in baby's world. We would like to have more kids, God willing. And so I'm sort of in full-time mom mode. But I do very much miss like the creative outlet that is, working, especially in Bitcoin, of like, and so I'm trying to figure out ways that I can sort of still have that almost as like a mom outlet that's even not maybe full-time work. So we're kind of playing around with that right now of what that looks like. Right now, and a little man just woke up from a nap and is sadly in there yelling. So he's still very much full-time mom. So I'm trying to kind of figure out ways to like get little bits of like me time as he gets a little bit older. So for us, it's like, it's laughable. Somebody will approach me about something. I'm like, God, I wish I could do that. But like, I don't know when I'm going to shower. That's where I am in mom mode right now. So it's something we're still really, really figuring out, but I've definitely hit the point where like I miss parts of it. Not necessarily like, oh, miss having like a boss and miss, like, cause I think mom world is the best job you can have. It's harder than any job I've ever had. People who say staying at home is easy. God love you. I don't know what jobs you've had. Or what children you've had. Maybe it's a better thing. But yeah, it's like I went from a 40-hour-a-week job to like, yeah, nonstop. But yeah, I don't know if that even remotely answers your question. It's something I'm interested in sort of looking into at this point, but we're just not there yet. But from a creative aspect, like I really miss it and want to think about something other than diaper changes and nursing and bedtimes and all of those things, which I think is important to have both as a woman. It's a little tricky to think like, oh, I was doing really well in my professional career and now I've left and I'm doing something really important, but like, how do I still feel like I'm contributing and kind of having these intellectual creative outlets that I think is important for anyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're in a weird place right now.
No, and it is helpful also on that end, at least from our experience, to be able to, once you get that side back in your life, to have it be something that's flexible, where it might not be that standard hours, because like you said, between the naps or however schooling is done or everything else, you want to be able to be there for, sporting events. So making sure that whatever that is in the future is something that you can balance between, the importance of the family time continually is something that's also unique. And obviously on the Bitcoin space side of things, you can find those opportunities.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think the focus on family in the Bitcoin space is very beneficial. I mean, I worked for Unchained for many years and extremely supportive. Very often you would have somebody with a baby on a team meeting, and that was just a very common occurrence and we welcomed it and we were excited to see them. And so I think finding a company that really does sort of respect the family and want to put it as a priority is extremely beneficial. And I feel lucky that in the Bitcoin space that it seems that a lot of companies do that.
Yep. No, definitely, especially on the remote work side of things. How about on your end, Stacie? Kind of that work-life balance between you and your husband, and making sure the kids are happy, as well as
Yeah.
getting the creative side of yourself out.
Yeah. I'll echo a lot of what Justine said. It's about like there is a tension between knowing that your children are only going to be so little for so long, and then also like not losing your mind. And I found that the work that I'm able to do, especially in the Bitcoin space, it brings me a lot of fulfillment. And I've actually reached a point where sometimes I'll take the kids to a co-working space that it's like child friendly. Um, and it's a wash. Like financially, it's a like I don't make any money by going there, but like it's really good for my mental health to be able to just like have a quiet moment, take a couple of calls, do some stuff. After my first was born, I was working at CASA at the time, which is super family friendly. I remember like we would always have this one guy, Paul, he was the best. He'd always, not always, but like his kids would show up on the call like so much, but it was like, it was really nice like talking about something really technical and then like, oh, hi, welcome. So I did like what it's the traditional path. I took the 12-week maternity leave. And then when I went back when the baby was 12 weeks old, it being a remote job made it a lot easier. However, breastfeeding is really hard when you're just working. I did a lot of pumping that I did not enjoy very much. And then for the second baby, I didn't return to work until he was at least 8 or 10 months old. That's about when he started, I wouldn't say sleeping through the night, but I started getting an okay amount of sleep to function. And now I work in an open source Bitcoin on the Bitcoin dev project, and that's also really family friendly. Just this morning, it doesn't happen often, but I had 2 calls in a row that was an hour and a half, and they're just at the age where I can maybe like turn the TV on and give them some snacks. I was like, okay, see you guys later. I'll just be in the kitchen. And I locked the gate, and literally 2 minutes in, my oldest comes up and he's like, I need to throw this away. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just leave the gate open. That was so funny though, because like just as it went on, they were just degrading more and more rapidly. And then like someone hit their head, they came in crying. But like this is a team I work with so intimately all the time that they're used to seeing my kids, and like I was just able to mute, and they totally like, some of them are parents too, and they're like, it's okay, like go take care of that. So it's really hard. It's about working in the margins, and I think the reason why I do it is because I love it. It's not easy, but I do enjoy having that flexibility, and I think that's something that, there are other industries that offer this, but I think Bitcoin is particularly good at it because it's so global in nature.
Yeah, no, that is definitely issue. And for you, Justine, since it's kind of the second time around with a wider gap, did your perspective on all this potentially change in between the two kids, or
Yeah,
how's that shaped?
I went to work, back to work pretty quickly with my first. Not to get too in depth into it, but I didn't nurse. Very long labor, very induced in a hospital, and essentially she wouldn't latch, and so they were like, let's give her a bottle, and I didn't know any better. I was a very young mom, like 22. I was like, oh, okay, that's what you do. And so then after that, she just wouldn't take. That alone made it much easier. Someone else could feed her, right? So that changed things. Second one, he never took a bottle, never took a pacifier. I'm his only comfort. So that just means a lot more time sort of with is needed. So that was fundamentally extremely, extremely different. I'm much older now, and I think my parenting philosophies have changed slightly. I think that at the time it was like, wanting to go back to work, it worked out. It worked out fine. Tried to be there as much as possible. Had a great schedule where I could work 4 days a week, so we had long weekends together. Had substantial help around. She ended up going to a really great preschool when she was around 2. I think it was great for her. I had family around before that. This time we're kind of on our own. We don't have any family nearby. Have been thinking about kind of getting somebody in a couple times a week just so I can finish projects around the house. But yeah, I mean, it's very different. It's like, I totally understand why someone don't want to nurse. Me personally, I think it's really important. I want to do it. Props to you for pumping, because holy crap, I hated pumping. At some point I was like, I'm glad you're not taking a bottle because I don't want to do this anymore. This is terrible. But like, I get it. Like, you have no freedom. And I don't want to frame it that way. Like, it's, it's not like you don't have freedom, but you are needed constantly. And I think mentally that can kind of weigh on an individual. And so not to like change it too much, but like, I understand why some women are like, I don't really want to do that, or I don't know how I'm supposed to do that and still, excel in my career, which is really important to me, because it is hard. I mean, there's no way around it. It's hard. But the seasons pass really quickly. And as you said, like, they're only little so long. So I think it's, for me, is like mentally kind of just being like, all right, we're just going to be in chaos for a little bit. And that's okay. Like, we're just embracing the chaos. And I'm really being humbled, and I'm really working on finding my zen. And those are all like great things as a human to kind of be working through, but very, very different from the first. And as you mentioned, personality is very different. My oldest is so chill. She's just like the easiest still as a teenager. She gives me no trouble. Like, the worst I can do is like not get her to talk to me sometimes. Like, that's the only complaint that I have. Little guy he's feral. He's a feral little boy. And he loves big, and he's so sweet. And then, he's like throwing his bike because it didn't turn the way he wanted it to. So just very, very different experiences, which is kind of like another fun part about parenting, is you're constantly reminded, like, this is a small human who's still figuring things out with their own personalities. And like, okay. And I like to blame James a lot sometimes. I'm like, that's you. He's you. Just because physically he looks like him. So I get to blame a lot of the personality traits on him as well. But yeah, so very, very different experience. I'm curious to see, if we're able to have another, like, are we going to have a second feral child, or are they going to be super chill? Because it's actually shocking how different personalities are, even among kids that like we go and play with or see. It's like, oh wow, there's, even at a young age, the temperament is so different. Personalities are so different. So it's absolutely, I cannot compare the two at all. Yeah.
That is true. Have you noticed any kind of super sweet moments between your daughter and your son
Oh, yeah.
that you didn't expect, just given that age gap and the helpful hand that maybe she can give on that side of things, that kind of, warm your heart in a certain way?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we try to be really good about, she's got her own stuff going on. She's very busy. So I try to make sure I'm not like depending on her for any sort of childcare whatsoever, unless, it's like, I'm hiring you for this. Do you want to take the job? But no, I mean, she's incredibly sweet with him. She's his favorite person. Like, nobody can make him smile like she can. She just walks into the room and he lights up. But yeah, lots of very sweet moments. In fact, yesterday I think I was making dinner and he was having a tantrum, and I might be wrong on this current attempt of dealing with tantrums, but I let him kind of do his thing for a minute. And then when he's ready for a hug, I'm there, and, we can help regulate one another. But he like had stomped off into the pantry throwing a fit, and I was like, okay, I'm making dinner. And I turned around and she's over there hugging him. And so he had ran to her, and yeah, like sweet moments like that all the time. The age gap is fun in some ways, because not that she's already grown, but she's, she doesn't need the same things. And so they have an interesting sibling relationship. With a previous coworker of mine had the same gap between her and her brother. And she was like, we've always been so close. So that's my hope, is that like, it's sort of more, it's different than the sibling relationships I had growing up. It's more of like, not, I don't want to say an aunt and a nephew, but like, she's playing a different role than just, just a sibling. And so, yeah, lots of very sweet moments for sure.
Very nice. It was similar. Our episode a couple weeks ago was with Francisco Xavier from Yopaki, who has two daughters who are teenage, and then a toddler that's a year and a half or so. So similar type conversation. Just hearing him talk about being a girl dad to three, with that wide gap, and being able to see that come to life.
Yeah, that's fun.
Similar experiences. Let's flip the topic a little bit, and you touched on dinner for a second there. Obviously, food and getting food ready and everything that comes with meal prep is something that parents spend a lot of time doing, and then keeping it healthy as well. Maybe Stacie, on your side, are there any kind of go-to recipes or tips that you guys have in your family that make the kids happy, and also make you guys happy as well, and not take up too much time, that you could share with people?
Yeah. So for us, I just realized, like, I know they say give your kids whatever you're cooking for yourself, and that just like never works for us, because you don't have any idea what they're going to eat, and I feel so bad throwing food away. So we just got like meal plans for ourselves, but not even like meal plans that you cook, like just the meal plans that come prepared. Like, so that's actually been a game changer for us. And then something that I just don't know why I never did sooner was, and I know tons of families do this, but like just have a schedule. Like Monday's pasta night, Tuesday's pizza, which is also a white carb. Wednesday is just like baby charcuterie snack plates. My biggest success is kind of just for dinner, putting small amounts of everything I've ever seen them eat on a plate and letting them pick. And the funny thing about the two of them is they always eat the opposite. So if I want to see what someone ate, I just look at the other plate and I'm like, oh, okay, you ate the oranges and you ate the banana, but you ate the pretzels and you ate the cheese. So I think for me, not having to make the decision of what are we having for dinner has been a really big game changer.
I will definitely co-sign the schedule side of things. We don't do the same thing on every night, every week, but we pretty much every Saturday, Sunday we'll make the plan for the week, get it all outlined, so it's not a surprise. Charlotte's old enough now where she gets input, so she gets to pick at least one of the meals
Nice.
each week. So it's usually either pizza night or taco night or
Does
pasta.
Does she eat what she picks?
She does, because she picks things that she knows she likes, and then the rest of the time we try to abide by to like you said, let them eat what we're going to eat. We've done a much better job of that the second time around with Zoe. Charlotte is more of a picky eater than Zoe is. Maybe it's because of that, maybe it's not, but who knows? You can give the same thing 2 days in a row, and one day they love it, and the next time it's the worst thing they've ever seen in their entire life.
Everything you're saying is so true for our family, like both of you. And I wonder if it is a little bit of like first child, second child kind of thing. But yeah, it completely rings true in our house.
Yeah, because it could also be that, with the second child, Zoe is seeing everything that Charlotte's eating, so she just wants to eat anything that's out there. And with Charlotte, who knows, maybe we're more lackadaisical, didn't give her as much variety. But we started from a very young age with Zoe. She stopped. Mallory never breastfed with her, so it was on the bottle side of things, which has its blessings and its curses. But one of the blessings was Zoe also stopped taking the bottle from a young age and just wanted solid foods. So we were able to just introduce it to her from a very young age and start that side of things. That could help too, just as she started eating, and got those taste buds developed.
Yeah. One thing I'll mention about my youngest too is he'll do okay eating his dinner, but then we eat our dinner. And he is more open to eating our dinner to the point where he wanders over and he goes, and some, which means I want some. And then he eats half my dinner, which is a good thing. He's eating like good food instead of snack food. But I'm a little hungry too.
Yeah.
Yes. No, that definitely works. The other tip that we found for dinner time is try to avoid as much snack time between kind of that, if they're still napping, that end of afternoon nap and dinner. If they can go that whole 2 hours or whatever it is, make them actually be hungry at dinner. That does help, as opposed to if they're snacking on random stuff for 2 hours, then they're not hungry and it's a painful for everybody. Is there any, as far as when you're out and about for either of you, any go-to kind of snacks that you guys throw in the diaper bags or in your pockets for the kids that are helpful?
We're big Epic Bar fans.
Okay.
And then Serenity Kids has like meat pouches, which my son no longer will eat. Cold chicken, I can understand that might not be the most appealing, but they have like a smoothie one that has collagen in it, and I feel good about like giving him a pouch. It's got a little protein, not too much sugar. Those are kind of our go-tos. We've tried to be really good about not introducing stuff too quickly to him. So not that we're like super healthy over here. I like to joke I'm like an 80-20 house. I love to bake, but try to, like limit crazy stuff. So those are our go-tos. I always seem to try to have those around.
How about you, Stacie? Anything you guys always take with you when you're out?
Given in. I'm fully in the cult of Costco, and whatever they have, it's just like they've been eating these yogurt melt things. Like
they have really good coconut milk yogurt melt things that are so good. They're delicious. We like those too.
Yep. A lot of string cheese is consumed. A lot of Baby Bell cheese. It kind of there's these like fig bars that they like. But the way I do it is when we go out, and this is probably influenced by how I was raised, that's when we do the packaged snacks. But when we're home and the kitchen's like right there, that's when we do like a lot of the cut up fruits and vegetables, just because it's kind of like, it's less of a hassle to have to package that stuff up. That's how we balance it.
No, I think that convenience is the savior.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. convenience and Costco. So
Yes.
we abide by that too.
Should make a shirt
There's a
with
lot
that.
of
Yeah.
yes, the convenience and Costco.
Yeah.
We should trademark it.
Yeah.
The That's It bars from Costco are also big in our
Those
house.
are really good too. Yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah.
So another thing that are easy to go and on the healthy side of things. Because parents also need to make sure they're happy and healthy when we're going along too. So you don't want to be hangry when the kids are also hangry.
Funny thing is, when I eat their snacks when I'm out and about, I am like still really hungry, and I'm like, how does this fill you up? Oh, Uncrustables too. Actually, Uncrustables are like, my oldest can just live off of Uncrustables. I don't know when the last time he had an Uncrustable was, but they put peanut butter on both sides and like the perfect amount of jelly. And if you thaw it just the right amount of time, so it's like just a little bit cold, it's an acceptable dinner.
Nice.
There you go. Perfect. So you've heard it here first. Uncrustables are being endorsed.
Yes. Give me a sponsorship.
Donate to open source devs. And so sticking kind of with the travel theme, as you're on maybe longer travel adventures, whether it's in the car or on an airplane, any tips or tricks that you guys have come up on that side of things? Justina, you mentioned only going on one airplane ride thus far with the little one, but whether there's car rides or airplane rides, things that you've liked or learned from going back.
Perfect time. We have an 8-hour road trip we're doing Friday for the first time. And I just want to preface this by saying that my child does not like the car. He's gotten better, but he was that kid from a very, hates his car seat, screamed the whole entire time. And I know I'm being very negative here. He's wonderful. I want to say that. He's the best. But he just doesn't like to be strapped down. So one thing that I did, telling on myself a little bit here, I think screen-free people are awesome. That's great. We go outside all the time. But screens have saved my life in the car. I bought a little DVD player and we watch Curious George in the car, and best $40 I've ever spent, best decision I've ever made, that and lots of snacks. So I'm mentally preparing for our road trip, but DVDs in the car with snacks. That's our travel hack.
We feel you. Hopefully it's a fun place to end up at the end of 8 hours.
Yes, going to see a bunch of family, so it'll be wonderful.
Very nice. No, we're with you and our family. We, like you said, screen-free people when traveling, God bless you. But once they're old enough to be able to have that be a distraction, it makes everybody's life a lot happier. How about on your side, Stacie?
Yeah, just going to the screens topic, we've tried them and they've actually caused more problems, because I think my son was 3 at the time, and we got him from the library and he'd try to play the games on the Fire tablet and he couldn't do it, and he was getting so frustrated. It was basically computer says no the whole time. So we got some tablets. We flew to Las Vegas to see some family, not for the conference. I didn't bring them that time. And that was about a 6-hour flight. And oh boy. So my oldest, he could, till this was in February, he still talks about vacation was the best because I could watch as much TV as I wanted on the plane. And then the youngest was just screaming his head off the whole time until he eventually passed out. So yeah, always for the youngest, try to plan any kind of travel to coincide with some amount of nap time. I tried candy, which is they haven't had a lot of candy. And so before takeoff, I heard, okay, give them a lollipop. All right, I give them a lollipop. And then looking at them and they're crunching, and I'm oh, okay. They both crunched through the lollipops before we had even taxied out of the gate area. So didn't pack enough candy for that. But for the car, we like the Tony box. As long as someone's not reaching over and grabbing it between the two of them and messing it up. And then on mind-numbing, putting on Mickey Mouse Club hot dog on loop is awful, but it keeps them quiet. So wish I had
do what
better.
You got to do.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get a DVD player. I forgot those existed.
It's great. It sits on the little headrest in the middle, and you can put a DVD. I've got a remote. It's wonderful. And then it's not really close to their face, which to me it's the screens get bad when they're really close. Yeah. You can choose lower stimulation stuff. To me it's when we were kids and we would watch a DVD player, DVD on the TV. So I highly recommend it.
I co-sign all of that. I think screen time sometimes gets a bad rap when you just kind of put it that way. Screen time when you're sitting on an airplane, we all want to watch something or we want to listen to something. So why wouldn't they? Now that's different than, sometimes you'll see, maybe you're at SeaWorld or some place like that, and you'll see a kid in a stroller in an amusement park with a screen in front of his or her face. And that's that's the different side of it. But is to make everybody's life more sane, then do it.
Yeah.
So go on that side of things. And let's see here. Let's kind of touch more on kind of the Bitcoin side for a moment. Justine, with your older daughter, have you started to introduce maybe kind of the financial literacy / Bitcoin side to her, or have you guys approached kind of financial literacy in general as you think about her growing up?
Yeah, so our sort of method is a little bit more like teach all the things. I homeschooled her until high school, and so even though I was using like a Christian curriculum, I wanted to also teach her about the worldly view, and I felt that that was kind of prepared her for life. The last thing I want her to do is sort of walk into a situation where she's not been given all the information, right? I want her to be an independent thinker. So the way that I've sort of approached Bitcoin is more like, let me teach you about money, and let me teach you what's wrong with money and what the issue in the current financial system is. And then also, hey, I work in Bitcoin. This is what that is. So that's sort of been our approach, and less of like, hey, Bitcoin, here's all the Bitcoin stuff. But she also would sit and listen to me. I worked at Unchained. One of the things I did previously was I would help people like on board to holding their own keys. So it's me walking them through like, what is a key? How does a key work? What is a wallet? How does this work? Setting up a hardware device. So at some point, it's like she had all of these things memorized. Like someone asked her at some conference, and she was able to rattle these things off. Now, does she want to hold Bitcoin right now? She got some money, and I was like, hey, so, here's what you can do with it. You can set up a checking account if you want. You can do this, you can do that. It was kind of the idea of like for future college, but also you could put it in Bitcoin. I don't want to pressure you, but like, and she was like, well, let's put this amount in Bitcoin and put the rest here. And I was like, okay, like I do it differently, but it's your money. So I'm trying to not like completely program her, but also just sort of show her my experiences, the facts that I know, and just like how the system works. And to me, that's worked out pretty great for us. So that's sort of our method, is like, let me show you what's broken and what I think the fix is. Now, if you think there's a different fix, that's cool. Let's talk about it. But like, here's where we are in this. So yeah.
Sounds like a perfect way to approach it. Have you, leaving Bitcoin out of this side of things, how's been the transition kind of from the homeschool to the, more standard public school or public, private, whatever it may be, non-homeschool approach?
She's done great. We moved specifically to find a school that was like I was comfortable sending her to. The first day was hilarious, and you might appreciate this as a homeschooling child. She'd never been on a school bus before, like that. She'd never been on a school bus. And so I'm like trying to prepare her for all the things. We've gone to the school, we've walked through. I'm probably more nervous than she is. And we're sitting at the bus stop, and she goes, what side do I get on? Like, where's the door? And I was like, oh my God, okay. So here's where the door is going to be. And there's no seat belts. Like, you're just going to find a seat and you're going to sit down, and there's no seat belts. She's like, there's no seat belts? And I was like, no. You just sit down, and like, you can sit next to someone. And she was like, okay. And like the first day, a little bit rough. I think their class schedules were mixed up. But since then, she's been an absolute trooper. Made a ton of friends, really enjoying the high school experience. I can say that I probably would not be okay with it if we were in a different place. So the school is a big factor, but she's done great. I don't think you could tell that she was homeschooled if you didn't know. So that's the feedback you always get, right? Is like, oh, how are they going to deal with socialization? Like, you don't talk to people through your day-to-day life as a homeschooler. But no, she's done great. She's doing really well.
Yeah. Usually the opposite.
Yeah, she just got her second academic bar for 4.0, and she got a perfect attendance this year. And I was like, you didn't miss a day? Like, didn't you miss a day? She's like, no, I left early once or twice. And I was like, oh, okay, like overachiever. So yeah, she's doing really well.
Very, very nice. Yeah, the socialization thing is definitely something that is usually the opposite. As like Stacie, you can probably attest to that, as ours was finagling you into a sale at the booth. So
yeah, oh,
there's no fear in talking.
Yeah. And I love hearing your stories of actually going through the homeschooling process, because I live in Massachusetts and there's not a lot of support. I know there's a ton in New Hampshire, but there's not a lot of support here for homeschooling, because our schools are pretty good, but it's still like a completely different paradigm. So yeah, I really appreciate being able to hear these stories from other people who have done it.
Do you guys have plans? Do you know which way you want to
I
go
would
as
I
they get
would love
older?
to. I really, really think it would be a good opportunity, especially in the younger years. But Scott, you work and you homeschool, right?
Yeah, so I do the Shomri side of things. I do some small consulting stuff, and then Mallory still works her full-time job. So we have a very mixture
Yeah.
of things, and her job is kind of hybrid, where she's in office, out of office. So yeah, it's a lot of different stuff, and then we kind of rotate the homeschooling ability, like schedule, if you will. We've done it a few different ways. So Charlotte, technically, I guess she's technically in first grade now, since the school year, quote unquote, just ended. But for the past year, we tried a few different things. What we ended up doing was actually splitting up the subjects, where I did certain subjects and Mallory did certain subjects. Just it worked for a number of different reasons. Where I'm more of analytical, so I was kind of more on the math side of things, and she was doing more, reading, writing, that sort of stuff, and then science and stuff like that was kind of mixed in. And really, at this age, both of us are in agreement. It's reading, it's writing. Can you add? Can you subtract? Can you do those things? Learning history right now is not of importance. That can come down the line. But yeah, we went at that approach for the majority of the year, and it worked out great. And it doesn't take as much time as people think. You spend an hour or two a day, even if that, and you can get so much done. And then the rest of the time, you can have out and free time and play and learn through play. Um, Join some great, homeschool groups around here to be able to get that socialization and make friends. But yeah, it's been a mixture of different things that we've learned over the past couple of years of starting it, using curriculum, like you said, Justine, and finding the right one for you. Just because one's right for one family doesn't mean it's right for a different family. We did a switch in the middle of the year because what we were using it wasn't working for anybody. It was honestly more work for the parents
Yeah.
than the kids. It was like you have to prep these 25 different things in order to teach this one thing, and we don't have that much time, and you don't need to. So find the curriculum that works for you and the kids is something that would also be a big tip. And there's so many different options out there that
So
it,
many.
it can be overload.
Well, and also co-ops, as you mentioned. I'm sure that if you like surfed on Facebook, there's going to be a homeschool co-op. And they're great because you can start at a young age. They start to find friends. You can learn from other people. You can try curriculum from them. Sometimes they'll get together and say like, hey, we want to do like a summer program, or we have somebody come in and teach robotics. Like there's a lot of great resources through your local co-op, even if the state resources aren't so great. But like Scott said, I think that was the most like shocking thing to me was like even your state mandated the time you need to spend on like reading and math was like an hour and a half. I'm like, why are these children in school for 6 hours a day then? Like, what are they doing? Okay, but yes, the educational outings. My daughter was such a history nut through like House on the Prairie. So like going to any sort of historical site and being able to like draw that back to what was going on in some books she's reading. Really, really fun. I mean, it just makes, I fell in love with history teaching it to my daughter when in school I was like, this is memorizing dates, how boring. And then as an adult, I'm like, wow, what an amazing thing we could be teaching our kids. Like we're doing it wrong in school. So highly recommend if you're able. And I'm sure you have a local group that would be really great for you too.
Yeah. And there's so many different groups probably out there, especially being in Boston. Such a big, being here in San Diego, there was a lot of different options, and we tried a few different ones. And, sometimes you hit it off with the people, sometimes you don't. You find the one that vibes with you the best. And that'll set you up nicely. And, also being in Boston on the history side, you have so much history there. And there's ways you can make that fun. You go for an outing to XYZ, and then you come back and say, oh, write a paragraph about this. That's your writing
Yeah.
and your history in one day, and you got to go do something with your kids. So, or even going to places like, we'd go to SeaWorld, learn about animals, and, you have to come back and write a little thing about, what you learned about some sort of animal. So there's lots of creative ways that you can go about it. And obviously every state and their requirements different and always changing. So that depends. But yeah, there's also plenty of people, whether it's myself or Justine or so many other people out there in the space that are open and happy to answer questions as those times comes for your family. And on that topic, actually, one of my questions for you was, for people that don't know, you've authored many different zines, if you will.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I read that your dad taught you coding it when you were 11.
He
Is that
did.
correct?
Yeah, he did. He was a software engineer and he just retired. Yeah, actually, he did a lot of like homeschool type activities with me. I was never homeschooled, and I didn't know many homeschoolers. Yeah, but I learned HTML one summer. We went to Walden Books and got a book, and I made a website, and those skills really stuck around with me, and I'm excited to teach
Yeah,
my kids coding.
that was gonna be my question. Do you have in your head? Do you have like plans for how you're going to start introducing that sort of stuff to your kids as they get older?
Not quite. There's so many programs now. There's just so many games. There's so many online things. I mean, who knows where vibe coding is going to even go. But I think it's important to kind of just do the fundamental. Like, I think HTML is great because those principles you end up seeing like later in other languages that you probably learn. Like if you you have an open tag and you have a closed tag. Like same thing as like if you start a function, you have an open bracket and a closed bracket. And I think that HTML is really satisfying in that you can produce something that's front end that you can actually look at, and like maybe you can fiddle with the CSS and make things like light up or change the background and stuff. So yeah, I guess I hadn't thought of it before, but we're going to be starting with HTML.
There you go. First step
Yeah,
on that
yeah,
side of
we're
things.
going
Dear
to
kid,
pick a topic we like, and then we're going to make a website about it.
I think that's a perfect way to do it. Dear kids, I guess probably more so the older one maybe, but do they ask you what you do and kind of are they curious about the coding side of
It's
things?
so
Just
funny.
wondering what's going on the computer on theirs?
Not really. Well, so for Mother's Day at my son's preschool, they did the list, the like, my mom is named Stacie. She is 4 years old. Her favorite drink is seltzer. What does she do for work? She goes upstairs. Um, they pop into my calls a lot, and the oldest runs away when somebody starts talking to him, and the youngest is just like, tell me more. They don't really know. And actually, that's something I kind of was curious to get both of your opinions on. The more I talk to parents, the more I'm hearing the don't teach your kid the word Bitcoin because it's an OPSEC liability. And I'll just say my personal view on this is a little naive in that I really hope that by the time, well, first of all, they know about Bitcoin and they are not blabbering about it because they don't think it's interesting. It's a plushie in the youngest's cribs, and they're like, oh, Bitcoin, like cool. We have the Shamaru books, which we really love, but they're not like it. They haven't latched onto it the way that I guess we all have. But I do hope that like in the coming years, being into Bitcoin is not weird. It's not unique. It doesn't mean you're rich. I mean, right now it doesn't mean you're rich. Probably means you're autistic. But it's just gonna, I hope that's gonna be boring one day. And like to talk about Bitcoin is not gonna be like an OPSEC failure. But I do recognize that it is responsible to not have your kid shouting Bitcoin where you don't want them to. So I was wondering about like your opinions on that.
Yeah, I guess it is unique, and I guess from our side, since there's also a family business side of aspect that we have introduced Charlotte to from when she was 3. That's the first time she came to a conference, and that was just because honestly we didn't want to leave her again. We had gone to Miami twice without her, and we said it's going to be another 5 days leaving her back with family. Screw it, let's just bring her, and she'll be at our booth, and she's a mature 3-year-old. We'll see what happens. Maybe she's screaming. Maybe she's having a blast. Who knows? And then, we took her. She loved it. And even before that, she understood Bitcoin just from, we'd read her the books and whatnot, but she didn't know what Bitcoin was. She just knew that there's Shamaru, there's these characters, and they're part of what Dad does when he goes to work, when he goes into the bedroom or wherever it was back then to do some work. And so she has always enjoyed packing boxes together, and putting them outside for the mail person. And so for us, similar in the sense that as they get older, I think Bitcoin is just going to be part of their lives and everybody else's life. So it's not going to be weird or different or mean that you're, some sort of special class. Because like you said, it's not now for us. And so why would it be for them in the future? And, it's been fun seeing her get to know, when she's there and she's asking, do you want to buy a bracelet or a keychain? And somebody says, how do I pay? And she pulls up her little, laminated card and says, my Lightning wallet's, it's right here. That to me is more valuable than potentially worrying about all the negative things, because you can worry about the negative things all day about anything, whether it's Bitcoin related or not. So let's just kind of be responsible and teach her and any other kids in that responsible way. And, we'll figure it out as it goes. That's kind of our approach, and exposing them to as many things as possible.
I agree with that. And like, in your day-to-day life as a kid, who are you meeting that's an issue for OPSEC? Like I almost think online is the bigger issue. It's like, I teach her a lot about online safety and what you put on the internet will be there forever, and what you share, it's never should be in real time. And those sorts of things are more of an issue than like Bitcoin isn't cool to her. I wish she thought it was cooler, I guess. But like, if somebody asks what we do, then, James is a software engineer and my mom does some stuff at some company and they kind of work in Bitcoin. And I don't think she's ever had a follow-up where like, oh, tell me more. Like I don't think kids her age care. But I do agree with you. Like, I hope it becomes even more boring. It's just like this thing. It's like working in tech. It's like working in banking, it's just a thing that will become more normal. But I also think that like you just decide you don't want to hide, or, what parts do you want to share versus what parts don't you want to share. I joke with James a lot that he ruined my OPSEC because I had pretty good online OPSEC before. I married a man who posted his last name online, which you may not know, mine is a pen name. Harper is not my last name. It's one I created to start working in the industry so I could, have a name that was associated with my online presence. I thought that was super cool. And then I go and marry a guy who is not worried about that at all. So yeah, I think online is a little bit more of a concern for me than Bitcoin in general. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends time and place, right? You don't talk about how much money you have. You don't, talk about those sorts of things in any sort of situation. And I think you teach that to children. Saying Bitcoin, I don't think is as big of a deal as maybe we try to make it sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's also probably different for all three of us, since we all are working in this space in various ways. So you also want to teach your kids not just about Bitcoin, but what you do for work and the value of working and that side. So it is an interesting middle ground for people who are working in the Bitcoin space as well, where they want to teach their kids those aspects of just life lessons.
But I think it's great that you take your kids to the conference. I actually want to start doing this as soon as old enough that it is enjoyable, and in a place that is welcome to children. I think more kids at Bitcoin conferences would be great. In fact, I was joking, I'm going to start a mom club for TabConf. If anybody's going, we'll just have play dates during. So
there you go. Perfect. And so, some of the conferences are having kid spaces.
Yes. Tidwell was actually talking about doing this at TabConf. So having like an actual like daycare setting in the conference.
Bounce houses, things like that. Perfect. Well, we've come to the final two questions of the show. But before I jump into them, I just want to remind everybody visiting to visit shamre.com to take a look at our family-friendly Bitcoin products. You're welcome to use code BFF Show for 10% off anything you're interested in. And then let's dive right into those last two questions that we end the show with every time. So first up, a common saying in the Bitcoin space is Bitcoin is time. Another belief is that time is the scarcest asset the world has ever created. So playing off of all that, what's the biggest gift of time that learning about Bitcoin has provided your family? I guess either of you can go first on that one. A little deeper for you.
I'm like waiting for Stacie to go.
Yeah. I think for me, it's not even so much Bitcoin as the monetary asset or even the network, but like Bitcoin has introduced me to people that I'm more philosophically in alignment, like homeschooling. I didn't know anyone who homeschooled their kids. I didn't even want to have kids until I got into the Bitcoin industry. I just I didn't think they were for me. And then I spent enough time talking to these people, and there's like we said, there's so many family friendly people in Bitcoin, and I got to know them, and I was like, wow, this seems like actually a fun little adventure that I want to go on. So for me, it's about the people. It's about the people that Bitcoin has introduced me to.
Quick answer.
Yeah, I love that.
Justine.
I was going to say being able to work on something you're actually passionate about. We know so many people that work at, like a JP Morgan Chase or, and it's like their job is the thing that they clock in and clock out of and don't want to think about. And for us, being able to work on something that you think is revolutionary and that is freedom money and changing the world for the better, that's huge. I think that's kind of being able to give you the gift of time, as in your energy is being spent on something you very much believe in rather than something that you're just doing for a paycheck is a big one. That's to me. I mean, people, of course, I totally agree with you there. But yeah, working on something you're passionate about is a gift. And Bitcoin has given us both that. Yeah.
Awesome. Final question. I guess, Justine, you can go first on this one since Stacie went first last time. If you had one Bitcoin to give each of your kids, at what age would you give them the keys and why?
Goodness. Wow, I have no idea. I think that, can I do a multi-sig? Is this
Yeah,
okay?
you can do whatever you want.
I
You can
just,
do a time
would
lock.
hate
You can do whatever you want.
for them to lose it is the issue. I mean, I think that around 16, kids should be kind of like starting their adult life in a nice sheltered environment. Personally, I think that I'm forgetting the philosophy of education. I will send it to you later. It's about different stages in education, and once they hit like that 15 to 16, it's now about experiencing the world and using the things they've learned previously to now go into it. So I think around that age, my daughter has a wallet. She has a key. It is multi-sig because I'm like, okay, if you lose this piece of paper, it's all gone. So let's help you out. Big believer in multi-sig personally. But yeah, I would say around 16.
I don't have a good answer for this. You ask this to every participant in the show.
It's the last question every time.
It is a really hard question, especially mine are so young. 18's the first one that came to mind because like you're done with your schooling, you're ready to go off into the world. But something you mentioned, Justine, that made me laugh is like, I think it's a rite of passage to lose some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You really don't feel like a Bitcoin until you've lost at least something.
Or like spent way too much on some silly item. I have so many t-shirts that I bought in Bitcoin.
Yeah. For me, it was the Lightning Network that there are parts of it I still don't fully understand, like forced closing channels. And I've definitely lost that's how I've lost not a lot, but how I've lost Bitcoin. While Bitcoin, like to hold for monetary value for your future, I think I would want to wait until the teenage years. I do think it would be fun at a younger age to start experimenting with like some coins to do things, on Lightning or, well, I guess you could use like testnet or Signet for something else. But to just play with and to develop on.
I like that.
Yep, that is good. Well, I will say the most common answer so far, I think this is the 6th or so episode, has been 21. I think people are just playing off of that number a lot. So congratulations to each of you for not falling into the trap of 21 and giving more unique answers. Yes, exactly. So we appreciate that. Awesome. Well, this has been a fun chat with everybody. That's a wrap. Thanks for being here. It means a lot to be on, so early and being open to coming on the show and chat about family life and all that fun stuff. Before we sign off, do you want to let anybody know, where to follow you guys, where to access designs, Stacie? Feel free to let the audience know.
Yeah. So online you can find me as Satsie, Satsie. My website is satsie.dev. And I also am a contributor to bitcoindevs.xyz.
Perfect.
I just want to say
Justine?
I'm a huge fan of her work. Follow her. She's got amazing things. I love the newsletter you guys are putting out. It's so good. Just educating people on things that are going on in Bitcoin. As I mentioned previously, I'm in full-time mom world. So if you want really kind of half thought out intellectual thoughts on Twitter occasionally mixed with random photos and me just shit talking sometimes. I'm at Miss Hodl, MSHODL. That's really all I'm doing right now. Yeah, I'm just momming it up.
Justine
I think I saw you've got your first good picture.
Yes, my husband took a flattering photo of me. This never happens ever. I mean, he'll show me a photo and it's like the word, like, how do I look like that? And so yes, he shared a photo that actually looked great. So breaking news, shared it on my Twitter.
I gotta go check.
That's the type of content you can get if you follow Justine.
Yeah, her tweets are so spicy. You have to follow them. They're so good. And then there's the shotgun hunting fox.
Oh yeah,
so. Yeah. It's a good meme template.
It is. Yes, I think Twitter should be fun. That's what I'll say. Is I think we should be having fun on Twitter. And if you're taking it too seriously, you're doing it wrong. So my goal is to never take it too seriously.
I think that's a perfect motto for life for all the parents listening in general, whether it's Twitter or just day to day as we are wrangling our kids, feral or not. So perfect. Well, thanks you both for being here and thanks to the audience for listening. And we will talk to everybody next time. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Hi. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a good review. And buy your kids some stuff at sawmary.com today. Bye. 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 Bye.